Microsoft is kind of in between a rock and a hard place with some of this stuff, but I feel like the good stuff needs to be talked about a little bit more, and I found this to be super interesting, and I wanted to kind of talk about it. And, for me, honestly, I feel like we're going to see something very interesting quicker, sooner rather than later. And I want to get into it. What's up, everybody? I'm Crap Gamer with Crap Gamer Reviews. Of course, back with another video. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Please like the video, give it a thumbs up if you wouldn't mind, and possibly even consider subscribing. That would be pretty kick-ass. Where this is kind of concerned, I thought was very cool. So this is sort of an update to a video I did the other day, plus a little bit more. But anyway, remember the other day it looked like this Phantom Blade Zero studio said that someone from that developer said that the Xbox was irrelevant. That is like the worst thing that you can hear as an Xbox fan, just in general, because, you really want to see the platform thrive, and you want to see, the games, every game come to it. Like, it doesn't matter, like I try to preach this to people, right? It doesn't matter if it's a game that you particularly like or not. It's best when your platform gets everything that it can from the third-party situation, and that's sort of what we're seeing right now, where Microsoft was getting skipped for some things, and now they've come out and kind of corrected that. The Phantom Blade Zero studio said it wants the game to be accessible to everyone and has not ruled out Xbox. So forthcoming action RPG Phantom Blade Zero developer S-Game says that as it believes in making our game accessible to everyone, it has not ruled out any platforms. Confirmation came via the studio itself, which took to social media to clarify its stance after several media outlets reported that an unnamed developer said, quote-unquote, nobody needs an Xbox. S-Game has distanced itself from the comments, saying they do not represent S-Game's value or culture. And I quote, recently we noticed that some media outlets have claimed to have interviewed an unnamed developer from S-Game at China Joy, who seems to have made some statements regarding the release platform strategy for Phantom Blade Zero. We want to clarify that these claim statements do not represent S-Game's values or culture, as we believe in making our game accessible to everyone and have not ruled out any platforms for Phantom Blade Zero. We are hard at work on both the developing and publishing fronts to ensure that as many players as possible can enjoy our game at release and in the future. The team closed by saying world premiere demo will be available at Gamescom later this month. So obviously there is a little bit of a mix-up when it comes to some of this stuff, but for me personally, it doesn't come as much of a shock that they would say this. Now, here's the funny thing, right? This doesn't mean that this wasn't said at all, right? It just means that, they caught wind of it and were like, that's bad business. So, again, this is sort of a situation where we find ourselves where, things aren't always necessarily as they seem, but we as fans kind of look at this and go, okay, well, this is a good thing. At least they're going to kind of say, save face a little bit, or say, hey, we're not trying to kind of forget anybody or anything like that. So, I feel like this is necessarily some pretty good news for the platform at the end of the day. Like I said before, this would be the most tragic case if Microsoft tended to be a company that, people were avoiding, right? You don't want, it doesn't matter what it is, you want to avoid these things, and, you want to make sure that people kind of have to have the things that they're looking for no matter what it is, right? Like, I couldn't care less about this particular game, right? There's a lot of games that I couldn't care less about, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be on the platform or that others wouldn't care about them, if you understand what I'm saying. So, I kind of keep that to be as honest and forthright as I can with all of this stuff. Realistically, it kind of comes down to what they're going to do in the future. And, again, it's nice to see that they haven't kind of ruled it out. I honestly think that is a very smart thing for them to do. Now, this wasn't the only bit of good news that we have. A lot of us have been waiting for Microsoft to leverage the Activision stuff, right? Let's just be real. Activision itself has realistically kind of saved, I guess the best word to say would be they saved Microsoft's butt during key points of this. And when it comes down to it, I think that has meant a lot of kind of people were asking the question, what are we going to see When are we going to see some of these other games and stuff? Like when are we going to see this stuff? When are we going to see the Activision catalog? When are we going to see these things for Game Pass? Supposedly these are going to be for Game Pass. So when are we going to see some of these? Some of these things, and now we have a little bit of an idea, and this was something that was rumored previously, but Crash Bandicoot Insane, a trilogy, is officially coming to Game Pass this week. So yeah, really good news. Confirming a recent leak, Xbox said that Activision game will join the subscription service on August 8th. It'll be available through Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate. As previously confirmed, Creatures of Ava will join Game Pass as well, and Mafia Definitive Edition, which, by the way, that's a really good game. Here's the thing where it comes from for me, right? Like, as someone who and I'm like, people always think I'm bragging and stuff. I'm not bragging. I just I buy a lot of the games that interest me. So Crash Bandicoot, this collection, was one that interested me, and I bought it on PlayStation and Xbox, right? So, like, I don't know. It's like, it was always the same thing with games with gold or PlayStation Plus or what have you as well, where, at the end of the day, most of those games I already owned anyway. So that's why I didn't really hate on the idea that, so that Microsoft was doing like indie games and stuff for games with gold, because I didn't tend to own those. So it was kind of cool, I could try them out and add them to my library or whatever, and it was no real risk or anything because I didn't buy them. Whereas like stuff like Mafia Definitive Edition, I bought that when it came out. I bought Insane Trilogy on both consoles when it came out. So again, it's cool. I think though that more people will be able to play it, and I think it's that Microsoft is kind of slowly trickling in the games and stuff like that they're really kind of looking forward to. The same source who accurately reported that Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy was coming to Game Pass already had a strong recent track record of revealing upcoming titles ahead of the other official confirmation. They claimed last month that fellow Activision games Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 and Spyro Reignited Trilogy will be coming to Game Pass soon as well. Last month, Modern Warfare 3 became the first Call of Duty game to join Game Pass, while Black Ops 6 will be the first Call of Duty to launch on the subscription service on day one when it launches October 25th, 2024. In July, Microsoft raised Game Pass prices for the second time in 18 months, and they've raised it $5. And they announced plans to introduce a new standard subscription tier that doesn't include day one releases. The platform holder is also reportedly exploring the possibility of introducing more Game Pass tiers, including maybe a cloud-only option. So yeah, there is that as well. But yeah, nice to see that they're kind of doing this, that they're making sure that people have, stuff to play. And, like I said, not everybody gets everything day one or whatever anyway. So it is nice to see that they have, some of these options and things like that for people to kind of scroll through or kind of go through. Like that to me is incredibly important kind of going forward. You got to have all these different games and stuff like that. I wish they maybe wouldn't be trickling things so much into there, like so slowly. But again, I guess the whole job is to keep people subscribed long term. But I think most people, are staying subscribed because, for one, you got to stay subscribed to pay, to be able to play online. And so that's something that I think people probably just do. To be honest with you, it feels like people subscribe and then just forget about it. That's sort of how I've done things in the past, where like I've been subscribed to Game Pass, but I always took advantage of being able to kind of, use trading the gold. I was trading in the gold when it was 1-to-1 for Game Pass and got years of it, and now it's like you can't do that anymore. You can only even preload 12, 13 months or whatever, just slightly over a year. Because they don't want people to do that anymore. They want people to pay, the full price of everything. So, obviously a lot of people were probably taking advantage of that situation. So, when we kind of look at this and we go, okay, well, what can Microsoft do in the future to kind of make Game Pass worthwhile? it's like, how do I feel about them kind of changing up how they do things? Like, it's not really up to me to say. I think people are going to speak with their wallets, and we'll see what happens. For me, I think that it's an interesting situation, but at the same time, I'm not surprised at all by this. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure a lot of you guys have some interesting takes on this. Let me know what you think. Like I said, subscribe if you haven't already. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.